Today, we're going to talk about a feeling that I bet so many of us have felt, but maybe couldn't quite put a name to. We're talking about the loneliness paradox.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever been at a party or a work event or even just hanging out with a group of friends, and even though you're surrounded by people, you feel this deep sense of being totally alone? If that sounds familiar, you're in exactly the right place.
And here is the great irony of it all. If you just nodded your head to that, you are far, far from alone in feeling that way. It's a surprisingly common experience, and in this explainer, we're going to unpack what it is and why it happens. So yeah, this feeling actually has a name. The loneliness paradox. It's this strange, kind of counterintuitive idea that the physical presence of other people doesn't automatically cure the emotional absence of connection. It's not about being alone, it's about feeling alone.
So why does this happen? Well, we're going to break it down into 5 key reasons, these sort of invisible barriers that get in the way of a real connection. Let's dive into the first one.
First up, and this is a big one, is a lack of emotional connection. You can be in a room with 100 people, but if you aren't sharing anything real or meaningful, it can honestly feel more isolating than just being by yourself.
And this really gets right to the heart of it. It's the difference between small talk about the weather and a conversation where you feel truly seen and heard. When all of your interactions are just skimming the surface, well, that's when that lonely feeling really starts to creep in. The second reason is feeling misunderstood. And this one can happen even with people you're really close to. You try to explain what you're thinking, what you're passionate about, what you're struggling with, and you just get a blank stare back. That gap in understanding can feel like a huge, invisible wall between you and everybody else.
Third, you've got the social media illusion. We're supposedly more connected than we've ever been, with hundreds or thousands of friends online. But there's a massive difference between the quick dopamine hit of a like and a real, heartfelt interaction. A lot of the time, that digital validation can just leave us feeling emptier than before.
And number 4 builds right on top of that, the gap between our expectations and reality. I think we all hope for deep, meaningful relationships. We crave that bond. But when the reality is just a string of shallow interactions, that mismatch between what we want and what we're getting can just make that feeling of isolation even louder.
And finally, we have to look inward. Sometimes loneliness isn't about what's happening on the outside, but what's going on inside our own minds. Things like anxiety, depression, or low self-esteem can act like a filter on our experiences, making us feel disconnected no matter who's around us.
Okay, so we've kind of gone through the why, but understanding a problem is only the first step. Now let's talk about what we can actually do about it. How do we go from feeling isolated to actually finding that meaningful connection?
This is the big question, isn't it? Knowing all of this, what's next? Where do you even begin to bridge that gap?
Well, there's a simple but really powerful 3-step path we can take. First, just acknowledge the feeling. Recognize it without judging yourself. Understand this is about the quality of your connections, not the quantity. Second, reflect. Take a moment and really ask yourself, what does a fulfilling connection even look like for me? What do I need to feel seen? And third, reach for quality. This doesn't have to be a big dramatic gesture. It's just one small step. Connect with one person you trust, and just try to have a conversation that goes a little deeper than usual.
And I want to leave you with this idea because it sums it all up so perfectly. This isn't about needing more people in your life. It's about finding and nurturing the right kind of connections, the ones that you truly crave. So, as we close out, I'm going to leave you with this question to think about. For a moment, forget about the crowd. What does a truly fulfilling connection look like to you? Because answering that question for yourself, that is the first and maybe the most important step toward actually finding it.